we amend the agenda before new business, we need to elect our chair and our secretary.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
This is Chris.
just the three of us.
Yeah,
Rob
Rob's not
couldn't make it.
Oh, Rob.
Roll call, let's say no Rob. I'll take notes for now. Although, are you a secretary anywhere? Okay, it's gonna be you.
No. I mean, I have no experience with being a secretary.
You don't need to be.
Dr. Morrissey is,
Simple enough. He's the secretary of finance.
Yeah, I'm the chair.
Oh, you're the chair of finance.
I'm just saying,
Garrett's-
he's the ranking member, so he should have.
Okay, so we got a motion, we got to amend the, let's vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What?
So we got a
Amend
chair.
to
Oh.
elect the chair and the
Aye.
secretary, okay? One other new business, Rob asked me to add, though he's not here, the fees again.
Which fees, gosh, are we talking right-of-way fees again? or-
Right-of-way fees again,
Okay,
one more time. I was just gonna talk about my solution of using council.
yeah, if we, I mean, I would ask, I mean, you can talk about it, if we want anything more, give me time to dig it back up, because everything we've talked about over the last 2 years is in the file at the shop.
Okay.
So we can bring that to the next one if you'd like,
Okay,
if we need to.
oh, well, let's just add it, I was just gonna give a suggestion really briefly. Okay, so adding fees is item 6 under new business, motion,
So moved.
okay? All,
Second.
okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, you guys have it. Okay, so now we have, our second item of business, or third, we need to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now we have an agenda. The first item is electing the chair and the secretary, and then we now have 6 items of new business. Okay, so I'm the chair right now. Any objections to that?
I so moved, that you
Second.
be the chair.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. I move that, we offer the ranking member.
Remember Rob?
Oh, yes.
Rob is not here either.
Dr. Morrissey, are you interested in being?
He
the
was,
secretary?
he was the secretary, so if you wanna re-elect him, and then one of you
I
can
was
just do
the
today.
secretary here.
Rob was,
Right, Rob, yeah, I think Rob would be the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent choice.
and then who will do it today? I can do it too, I guess.
You're gonna do
Sure.
it today?
I can do it.
You can do it? Okay, alright, so,
I move Rob,
Okay,
so
so,
as the secretary.
second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay,
All right.
so we have a chair and secretary. Okay, new business, the dial right. Jason had a meeting.
I'm taking the minutes.
Yes. So,
Yeah, take a look at it, but
all 3 of the votes were
Unanimous.
Morrissey, you, and then unanimous to amend the agenda twice, to approve the agenda, and then the 2 votes for chair and secretary.
All right, at the LEC last Tuesday, their review came up with the proposed increase. The LEC did vote on an increase, they voted for a increase of $1.50 to the adults, which will go from the current $3.50 to $5. 50-cent increase to handicap and seniors, and then we got another 50-cent increase for children 0-4. And then if we go to the out-of-town rates below that, they proposed another $1 increase for the adults, 5 to 6, and then 50 cents again for the senior handicap and children 5 to 11. This year we have a projected budget of $401,907.
Sorry?
We have a projected budget of $401,917
Gotcha.
for a dial ride. Out of that, $122,941, as you see on the top, is out of state grant. $72,343 is out of federal. Our use of that admissions, what our fares, we're at $58,000. That's what we brought in last year. That is, I put a note on here, with the 50-cent increase we put in last July and the 2,200 fares we have in addition to the year before, we did get that up to about 13,000 more than we've had in previous years. We're projected to bring in 36,000 in advertising, which puts the general fund contribution to 122,623. Again, it'll be 158,623 without the advertising. We'll go to the bottom with the 28,160 fares that Albright did last year. That comes up to roughly 18,160 increase. So with the proposal increase and the advertisement, we're looking at $104,463 contribution for the general fund for the upcoming year.
Great, thank you. So you're looking at 36 from advertising. How much of that is guaranteed at this point?
So none of it's guaranteed right at this point. We're calling everyone we can.
Okay,
So we definitely have some feelers out there, between Dave and myself, Sam, and, out there, Ginny out there, Tyler Wright, we're calling every day.
okay, great.
So we are looking at,
That's the maximum total if everything is filled.
so no, that's only 2 buses.
Oh, okay.
So we just set a goal this year for 2 buses, all, of course, it's 4, we'll just times that by 2.
Okay.
So if all 4 buses get on there, we're looking at some, really getting that general fund contribution down.
Yeah. And-
So the problem we're having is who wants to be the first? As soon as we get the first one, I think we can get going. Something new for the town. Talking to other municipalities, they have the same problem. We have to get in that first one, it's always the first one.
Yeah.
So,
What does it cost to just do like a year-long ad on the Colorado?
so it's $200 a window for the side windows and $300 for the rear. It is a year contract, so the way the contract's written, they pay for the whole year. So that's one thing we're running into. We're about third the cost of other municipalities, like LV and Coldwater, Marshall, etc. So we'll get there.
Have these other cities been able to fill up all of their buses?
I don't know what Marshall Coldwater, which is Beta, has, because they run the Marshall terminal, which is, for Coldwater, Marshall, and back. So they have a lot more resources to advertise to. But we had to, go ahead, sir.
I used to work for NJ Transit, and it waxes and wanes with the economy.
Mhm.
They've been doing this ever since I was alive in New Jersey on the buses. And, sometimes you get blank spaces and sometimes you get them all filled.
Mhm.
So you don't know.
Absolutely, it'll change. It's gonna be interesting to see. We've had a lot of interest, just no one pulled the trigger yet. Absolutely. But
Okay.
I hope to hit that goal, and we're trying.
Did you just relay the conversation from the committee? Do they have any concerns? I'm a little bit surprised that they went with the full $1.50. But they seem to,
So I had a spreadsheet, and I can pull it out if you want to, of other municipalities.
okay,
Marshall's paying, Albion, those ones are not comparable to us because they run off the local and the county millage. So their pricing is way down, we're talking 60 cents for
all
disabled crews.
subsidized, yeah.
There's a couple up north that are more comparable to us, so they're doing $5 to $7 for adult fares. So when I showed that and with the $1.50, really they didn't have a problem there. The biggest issue with the LEC was keeping these disabled
Yeah.
seniors at that level.
Right.
And by law, seniors and disabled have to be half fares for what an adult
I
is.
see. Okay.
Yeah, that's part of our funding that we have.
Yeah, I was reading that statute. I saw that some cities do free fares for people who qualify under certain, I don't know, they have an ADA qualification in some way. Do we do that?
We do not do that. So that is at the, I don't want to say generosity, it's a terrible word, but that's at the municipality's recommendation. We can do that. Just like, here, our age for seniors is 60. It was adopted by the LEC years ago, so it's 60 instead of 65, they can use
Okay.
senior rates.
Yeah,
Yeah, and as you can see, the $5 and then it goes to $2.50, that's to meet that guideline of it has to be half,
okay.
so.
Okay, yeah. You hate to
I don't want to raise increases, but
see it.
I was real surprised on them as well, but, it's gonna it'll affect the seniors most, they're the biggest users of ours. Students are the next, and then adults are the third.
So for the students, all of the kids at Will Carlton are still gonna get the 5 to 11 rate,
Correct.
so $3.25.
We're at Will Carlton, they're gonna be out of town, so they'll be $2.75.
We have up the proposal.
Oh, I'm so sorry, yes, $3.25, yes, you're right, Josh.
Okay, and then we're looking at what, a $54,000 savings year over year? You don't have the budget yet, but,
Oh, actually, I knew it, but.
oh, you do? Oh,
So
the
the-
kickoff meeting was this week.
So The Dollaride actually runs off of the state budget year, so theirs is October to September, so I've already been working on theirs for 2 months.
Okay,
And we'll adopt, whatever we adopt for that, or, so whatever that is what we asked to adopt for this budget year coming up to the city.
I see, okay.
So I do have that here. We did, we have some stuff in there. The big thing we're fighting too on this is our state reimbursement rate when I started over for Jake. When I took over, our reimbursement rate from the state was 40%. When we proposed, put in the budget last year, for the 50% increase, the state cut us almost $30,000. Went from 40 to 34%, and then again, just recently, within the last month, we were cut another 4%, which is about 16,000 from that budget.
You are, so we're, this looks like the state grant is the same that it was this year. They didn't give us any additional money for the state grant?
No, state grant actually went down. When I first prepared this in December, it was 138. In that short time of time, they went down to 122.
So we're getting 122, 941 this upcoming year, and we got the same amount this year?
This is off that.
Oh.
This
okay.
is off, yeah, this is off the 2026 budget.
So they had initially offered 138.
Correct. And then it came back literally within weeks. That's how, so I downloaded 2 different books from the state in a matter of 3 weeks. They had different, and I was told that those are fluid, those are all fluid numbers, they're not static. You start doing your budget too soon to get them.
Yeah.
I disagree, but
Well, that's very frustrating, so we could have been below $100,000 in general fund.
correct. There is a, from municipalities all through Michigan, which I'm part of as well, we have a, I can't think of her name, but she is, helping us to formulate a letter to send to our legislators to get some of that funding back. So there is mass through the state of that
What
happening.
did you say it was? I'm sorry.
I can't think of her name
Oh.
off the top. I've got an email thread at the shop that we've all been part of, trying to lobby to go back to Lansing and get that back on. The reimbursement.
Does anyone talk to Senator Bolino or Warts?
So the problem with this is literally what's left at the end of the barrel.
I figure.
It literally is. But from the general fund side, that's been the lowest contribution, if we can make this work, that we've ever had.
That's
Oh, really?
something. Wish the state would work with us.
Yeah, so and I just go over, in my couple years there, so 3 years ago, the budget was 414. We got it last year down to 399, and this year we're at 401, so it only went up $2,000 from last year's budget. That was just because of health insurance.
Oh, what about out of the general fund, is it the lowest number we've seen?
Absolutely, absolutely, sir.
Well, this is the new projected number.
Yes, this is
112 instead of 122.
Pardon me? Yes.
And now it's 112.
Or is that a typo?
Should
Numbers
be-
are all the same. Numbers are all the same.
Should be, no, it's 122, yeah, I'm so sorry, 112. The 112 that's a typo. It's
So it's
112
122.
It's one, no, what's the right number?
112.
is the general fund contribution.
Oh, up here.
So it's a typo on this one. The general fund and the state grant are pretty similar. Okay. Well, I appreciate you all doing that. I hope the advertising, we can get all that for the fiscal year. Okay, so now we're looking at what was it this last year, 158? Is that our total from this current fiscal year from the general fund?
This would be this year with, if we did not advertise, that's what the number represents.
Okay, so we're looking at
Of course, that'll go down to, say we don't do advertising, we only get to 18,000 if council approves it. The 18,000 off of the 112.
oh, it would go down another 18,000 from there.
No, sir, no,
That's only if council approves it.
correct.
Okay, so where we're standing right now, that stays with us about 46,000 from last year.
Sorry, council approved what?
The proposed price increase,
Oh,
yep, which will be the stuff to the far right. I'll write it up further. So that would be the next one. We wanna start it, I think we'd have less backlash if we started it July first like we did last year.
Okay,
And the only reason I say that is the kids are out of school,
yeah,
they have that time to figure out finances, how they do. I will say, the only complaints I had last year that truly came to my office was from Will Carlton. That was because we went to the out of town rate.
yeah,
The calls that I got from, the seniors, they're actually great. Their word to me was, and Pecora was, what else choice do I have? You know, I hate to hear that, but they're right. So they're the biggest user of our facility. But they took it all in stride.
yeah.
So that number should be the 112,623. That's it.
Yes.
In this spreadsheet, and that transfers down here, that's $10,000 off, so this should be 94,463.
So we will get below 100,000 if everything goes as planned. Okay, that would be good, so we're looking at a $50,000 savings from that fund.
Are the seniors and or the, handicap, are they like daily?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, they're very much dedicated around town here. Doctor's offices, I have some good numbers
Yes, we
here
have the
too.
doctor's office every day. No, I mean, the individuals, are the individuals using it on a daily basis?
For the most part, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd be the doctor's office today, Dollar General tomorrow. Seniors get up pretty much every day to go do something, so they're not in the house. And I do got, so elderly, the elderly trips did go down, and if I can share this with you real quick before we move on.
Yeah,
So last year, Dollar had 12,859 regular trips, which are adults.
Do we have that, or should I?
No, I can give this to you if you'd like, you can write it off. Which puts it up for regular, we had almost 1,931 more fares for adults last year. Elderly, we were down 823. Personal disabilities, we were at 6,321, and we went up 813. Elderly with disabilities, we're at 3,052, and we're up 380 from the year before. That puts us at, we had 25,864 fares the year before. Last year, we're at 28,160. So we're almost at 3,000 fares. So
keep
between,
that increase going.
so we're getting there.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to put that up more than, and if we're comfortable more than that, because I don't want us to scare off ridership.
Yeah, of course.
On that, absolutely.
Plus, it's a subsidized service, so can't expect to make every dollar back. Was there any concern with the DART committee about decreasing
No,
ridership?
nope, not at all.
Okay,
Nope.
yeah, I would like to keep, over all of these different issues, like to keep like a running total of our savings to see how much we can chip away at that 400,000 that we need for the roads. So that looks like it could be up to 60,000.
If we get that advertising going,
Okay,
yes.
that would be great.
Yep, is this committee okay with sending that to council then to start on July 1? We're probably in motion for that.
Yes.
Okay, I move, so move.
Second.
Okay, motion from Morrissey, second by Bentley, to send this proposal to the full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, good. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome, sir.
I'm sorry you have to do so many things.
Oh, that's all right.
Unfortunate. But this is great. I think, ultimately the goal of this is that people get relief in a different way, right? Through lower taxes or lower special assessments. Okay. Leaf collection.
Yes. So, if you don't mind, I got back a quote for LRS to do leaf collection as we did 4 or 5 years back. Some more stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. And I have another one here. So the second one that I'm giving you is what we had year to date that we spent, that is highlighted in the yellow. There you go, sir. So we did the 2 pickups through the city for $69,428. I would like to share just a little piece of information before we move on to the rest of that.
That's the total this year?
Yep.
Whoa.
So this year, we are down about $14,000 from the year before. The year before that, we were down at $74,000, which was a $5,100 decrease from 2022. And in 2022, we spent $79,461. Now, I'd like to remind that these are all just for the fall pickups, because the spring, due to the storm damage, the wind damage, of those, we've had all 3 of those years, we haven't done any spring pickups. We only bring about 74 to 75,000 off that village, so we're right there where we need to be. Without doing spring pickup.
Okay, why does this seem so much less than what we discussed? What's missing here? It seemed like we were near 100,000 for leaf collection.
When we first started out, we were, when we did that and the spring pickup.
Okay,
The spring pickup's you're gonna wanna put about another 1720 on here for spring pickup.
Yeah, we reduced that spring pickup.
Yep.
so with this proposal, you're gonna get an additional pickup.
They'll do the initial pickup, yeah. They think they need there's 3 pickups to pick up about 4,000 cubic yards, is what they're thinking.
One in the spring, 2 in the fall?
Or 3 in the spring, however we wanna do it. But
Okay,
to do the amount of leaves that we pick up, they need 3 fall pickups, is what that is.
so this still might not be a spring leaf pickup with this?
Correct.
Okay.
And with that, I we're at 69,000 with their proposal, and that's right on what we are already.
Yeah,
The big problem with LRS is they're trucking a lot of that to Grand Rapids and Battle Creek to get rid of.
What?
Yep, that is, when it's in the truck and it's, there's so much regulation on yard waste, it has to go to a approved facility. That's why we don't do the compost site anymore. Our licensing at the compost site we have is almost $10,000. And then we have to have someone on staff that's trained in it to probe it for heat every day. It's a big thing on that.
and they can't drop it off at a private site?
They could if they can find one. But they're still, when they get so many yards over there, over 1,000 yards, they're gonna be a site, they're gonna be, the state can come at any time.
Oh, so it reaches 1,000 cubic yards and then it becomes state regulated?
Yeah, so you can have up to 1,000 yards on your site from, forgive me, I can't remember the dates, but for 8 months out of the year, you can, I'm so sorry, 4 months out of the year, 8 months off. So 4 months you can store up to 1,000 materials and not be in that, you'd be in a minor category, it's a $200 fee. But we're a super site that we have out here, which they would be as well. That's why it's all being trucked out. So the one thing, and we can go either way on this, you know, if we didn't do the traditional leaf pickup as we're doing now, we got it down pretty good to a science how we're doing. I know there's always gonna be complaints that we left too many leaves behind. Remember, this is just to get the bulk of the leaves. And we're never gonna get every single leaf off the street. It's just unrealistic expectation. But when we did this 4 or 5 years ago, the big complaint was a bag of leaves. I mean, some of these were picked in 15, 20 cubic yards that they're using. And it's, 16 to 20 cubic yard bag. It's a lot of bags to put in. So it is more of a burden for the household. So we have about 2,500 households in the city. I talked to my crew pretty in depth on this yesterday and today. They believe about 65% of the town, or about 1,625 households use this service.
Wow.
What's the percent?
About 65%.
65 out of 2,500?
Yep, it puts it at 1,625 households approximately.
Okay, yeah, this doesn't seem quite as straightforward as it did before. So how much did this number change?
A lot, so it was at 19,500 before.
So we're up 12, 13,000.
Mhm.
Oh, 23. 3,500 additional, so 10,500 additional.
No, 19,000 for all 3.
Oh, okay, that's why this doesn't look the same.
Yeah, that's for all 3 pickups back then.
Okay.
So mine were on the site, not LRS. And they had other places to get rid of.
Is this because of the regulation?
Correct.
$50,000 in additional cost because of this compost thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, when I was looking at the 19, I think pretty obviously that was a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
I'm not so sure about this now, because now you have all this additional work of our citizens for basically no savings.
Absolutely. And we're,
That is so upsetting. Dang, I really thought there was a win here.
no, I don't, it would have been nice when we implemented this 4 or 5 years ago, if we stuck it out a couple more
Yeah.
years to see, where we're at that spot. I believe that, I know we had a lot of complaints. They were subsiding quite a bit though. We tried it for 1 more year, but we did it. It is what it is. I would hate to go back because it does consume about 2 months of DPS time, but we do really got it down to a pretty good science right now. You know, and a couple other things is, years ago when I first started on, we had 14 full-time employees that did leaf pickup. We had 5 seasonals, and we had the whole entire sheriff's department unit out here helping us, the inmates. So we had almost 22 people doing this.
And now you're down to what?
Now I'm down to 8.
Give me something, anyway.
So last I heard, and I can't remember who's gonna look into it, is it was a union thing to use there. They can't get a part-time officer to go out and run the prison labor unless they hire a full-time person first. And then they're just gonna have the funds to do that.
Yeah, they're already having staffing issues anyway.
So it was definitely, I mean, we had sometimes, I think we had up to 14 inmates at one time, and they were.
One overseer,
Pardon me, sir?
only one sheriff.
Yeah, yep, absolutely, sir. Yep, so we were split, that would help us
Just
tremendously.
get a badge.
So, right? So I don't foresee them ever coming back, and then before that, we had the state inmates.
Okay.
State inmates.
Oh, yeah, so Michigan Department of Corrections, through agent, are bringing all their inmates down. And we had them to help move cemeteries, leave pick up on the streets, all that, so, you know, we're still doing the same amount of leaves as we did before, with the exception of spring, with a third of the staff that we used to have to do this. I just thought it was important to bring that up, what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't know what state inmates.
No, it did not go very well.
Did the inmates get paid?
They got paid $2 a day.
A day?
A day, yeah. Because the rest of them went back to pay for their, because it was, I can't remember, $36 a day to be in jail, something like that, and go off their fines and records and stuff like that.
Oh.
So it was-
Went toward that,
Yes.
so more than $2 a day.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And they did it voluntarily.
Yeah.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah.
It was a great program, absolutely great.
Yeah, talk to the sheriff.
They just watched them all day.
Mhm.
And we didn't have to reimburse the sheriff's office?
I don't remember, that was before my time, I just worked with them.
Used to chip the ice off the walk path too.
Yes, they did, yeah. They would go down the river, clearing all the sticks and debris out of the river.
I mean, they tried to help you out.
I'm sure the inmates would like
Yeah.
$400 or $500 a day though.
If I remember right, and don't quote me on this, please, I think we had to pay the wage of the officer for the day.
If
If I
that's
remember
what
right.
it cost us, okay.
One time I was walking along the bike path and I didn't know anything about this, and I saw a bunch of guys in suits, you know, and first one I said, "Thank you for doing this," and I got to the end of the line and there was a sheriff's deputy with a gun on his head. It's a bit of a surprise.
Great program. Of course, we shared them with the hospital and the fairgrounds. So we did it for 3
And
days.
nobody gets, no, that's not going on for any of the hospital. Sorry, I thought you said that the sheriff ran out of money, so they stopped the program, but if we were paying the guy,
So I believe it's still a union thing, until they hire a full-time employee, the union's not gonna allow them to hire a part-time person for that program. I believe. I know Jake looked into this and kind of Mr. Stockton did as well. When Jake was just having,
Okay, well, I think if we wanted to justify asking our citizens to do more work, we'd have to show them substantial savings to justify them paying out. I think we could send it to council for discussion, but I'm not sure that I would support this.
oh, this is the bagging thing?
They have to bag it for the same cost. It's at $50,000.
You're taking off it, don't even breathe it.
No, it doesn't make any sense now. We'd say $468. Now, this would all be paid from the millage, but then the whole goal of it was to reduce the leaf collection millage so that there could be tax savings, but. Okay.
perfect. Thank you.
I guess business communications, where do we want that signed? I guess we can put it under business, but we're not, unless, do you wanna recommend this?
I don't know, no, do we wanna,
I just
has it
refer
ever
to
happened?
the council.
Okay. Let's refer it to the council, so we'll have a motion to refer it to council.
So,
Well, wait, why?
We don't need to take any action unless you're not taking.
I just wanted to update.
Oh, okay.
No, we're the committee, they don't wanna know, nobody wants to hear about that, people get angry when you say bad, nobody wants to back, let's just let it die. Quiet
No
in the committee.
communications, nothing?
Nothing,
Okay.
It'll be in the minutes, right?
right,
If anyone asks, we can talk
yeah,
about
that's right,
it.
we're gonna cover up.
No, but
Yeah,
it'll be in the
right,
minutes that you recommended that no action be taken.
Okay, well, thanks for looking into that, Jason, I'm sorry that
You're
didn't work
welcome.
out.
No, it
Was
was-
more hopeful.
It was, enlightening to see the pricing went up from 2000, so the last proposal we had was 2019, for 19,000. So it wasn't that.
So
much.
it's COVID plus the regulatory. So, I mean, that regulation must be costing the state tens of millions of dollars.
Eagle was just, they just increase, it doesn't, there's no,
Yeah, the big
no
thing.
cutting of red tape or regulation, we deal with the same stuff. At the BPU and the old power plant we had in Litchfield, testing and, you know, it took them 6 years to actually read our report. We closed in filing the agency. Of course, that was during COVID, but it does seem to be a lot more
Yeah,
environmental.
okay, well, that's unfortunate. Good luck with that in the spring. Are we doing spring this year then?
No, sir.
So that is the trade-off, there is no spring, we don't have the money for it.
Correct, yeah, because we're only pulling about 74, 75 from the village.
So we can do about 1 day
About
of
one-
spring.
That's about it, yes, sir, yes, absolutely. And we did have, earlier this year or last year, we sent to council to forego all spring pickups until we bring it back. So as of right now, there's no action needed to be taken.
So that, I mean, that is something that could be, would you rather have 3 pickups, spring and fall? Or they might need all 3, we're not even guaranteed a spring pickup if we pick this, they might need all 3 of them for fall,
Yes, sir.
so there just isn't enough money.
No.
Alright, good. Airport,
Okay. Ginger, you wanna come up, here? So we did do, and I'll let Ginger talk about this, so these are, Josh, Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Valley, asked about other hangars. So Ginger, if you wanna go over what we found, as far as
Right,
the
so I
hangars.
went for comps, I went to airports that were similar to ours, they're called Class G airports, they're Adrian, Coldwater, Sturgis, Marshall. And Coldwater right now, and I've seen their T hangars before, they're older ones, which are slightly better than ours. But they said they just did an update up to 90. And, they also have some that are slightly better at 110 that have a full concrete floor. Now at Coldwater, there's, the airport owns some of the T hangars, and then the fixed base operator called Elite, they own their own T hangars, so it's like a privately owned T hangars. And there's a lot, most of the airports have that, where the city or the county, whoever's running it, owns some of the T hangars and then privately owns other ones.
Do we?
No, we own all the hangars right now. We'd like to have somebody build some T hangars out there, but haven't been able to get anybody to do that.
when did the city buy them?
We bought them, what, in 2017, 18, around in there?
The 2 big hangars, and then we've always owned.
But we,
T
the
hangars.
T hangars originally started out privately owned by the first manager back in the 60s. We built those. But just like anything with the ground lease, it then after 30, depends on what the contract was at the time, 30-some years, it goes to the city.
Oh, so you didn't buy them?
Not the T hangars.
Not the T hangars.
But
We
the
bought
big hangars
The
we
2
did.
big
The two
hangars.
big
Where'd you
ones.
buy those from and why?
We bought, the first one was from, Moore, what was his first name?
One was from Jason Walters and one was.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right, because he bought it from Moore, and Jason Walters had it. We bought it from him,
Why?
because he didn't, he
We were
wanted to
going
get
to
rid
need
of it.
them to tear down.
They
for
were
the-
gonna tear him down, that's right.
Originally.
Oh,
For one of our projects.
oh,
And so we needed them and the price was right at the time.
And then the other one was Tim Raker,
Yes.
owned, the other one, and we bought that one from him.
And currently we use them and lease them out.
So Adrian, they charge $100 a month for a hanger like ours, and Josh saw the hangers, they're just a concrete slab surrounded by dirt with sliding doors. They have a couple nicer hangers that they charge $124. The fully insulated ones with power doors and everything go from $180 to $200.
I'm sorry, these are all per month.
Adrian.
Correct.
Wow.
Now, in Mason, they don't, the airport doesn't own any of the T hangars. They do a land lease of 28 cents per square foot for people who want to build hangars. They have a lot of private hangars. Our land lease is 30 cents a square foot for 35 years with 3 5-year extensions, which gets people to 50 before it would turn over to the city. So there's lots of room in there. I'd be long gone.
Is that just always available?
What's that?
The land lease, can anyone take advantage of that?
If they have land available, which we do,
That would be everything northwest of the terminal, or east of the current terminals too?
no, just pretty
Just
much
that first section.
northwest of this terminal there. It's possible maybe a little north of where we have the T hangars now, but that isn't where it's scheduled to be at this time. But we have a lot of land out there, you know, but, the problem is you can't just build a hangar out in the middle of a field. You've gotta then have a taxiway and all that, so you wanna be close to where everything is. And that gets real expensive.
Mhm.
Let's see. There's some numbers on there.
You had it top here, Marshall.
Oh, there they are, okay. So in Marshall, they own only 10 T hangars, the airport itself, at $150 a month. And they have private hangars. The private hangars usually have full concrete floors, heating, electrical 5-foot doors, that type of thing, and they get $250 a month for that. And in Sturgis, they have 16 hangars at $150 a month, and some 10-unit box hangars that are bigger, for $200 a month. So we were thinking that with, if we were to fix up our T hangers, I mean, we would still have the concrete slab and the dirt. We had our airport advisory meeting last Saturday and discussed this quite a bit. The most they all figured we could charge was about $150. They thought at 200 we wouldn't be able to get it because it's just the concrete slab. So that was their recommendation, and they did recommend sending this forward for approval to have Steve fix the hangars himself and get that ball rolling to help become more self-sufficient.
Good, thank you. Did you bring a copy of that sheet with all of the price changes that you had at council?
Yes,
Oh,
I think it says, I've got a couple handouts.
Oh, okay, there's more coming.
So Councilman Bruns had asked, for, kind of, what we've spent over the last, 9 or 10 years, for the airport. So that's what this is, the first page on this. And so we average over that period since 2016, we average about 150,000. Last 3 years, we've been about 160,000. And if you look at so that's at the bottom there, you can see where it says total expenditure. So that's just our expenditures for the last, since 2016 with each budget year. The second page, now this is our airport capital improvement fund. So this is where we've placed our money to save up for our projects, which is the capital improvement fund, like the fuel sales, the rents, the ground lease and such. So, as you'll see, I'd say probably the second from the right side was our balance as of 6/30/24. So that is the revenues we've brought in for up through June 30th of 24. And then those were our expenditures for that year. The thing that kind of throws us off when you're looking at it is we do have to put grants and state monies in the revenue side. So those are typically one time for a specific item. So they're not an annual thing. I did go through and kind of figure out where we would be without those things in 24. It puts us up to about $353,251 in revenue. So that 6/30/24, if I scratched out the non-reoccurring things, and if you increase the rents on the hangars, it would get so your cost would be the 351 for revenue. And if you did the same thing down below, we would have expenses of about $203,261. With the increase on the hangar rents, if we did the repairs and increased on to 150 and then 800 on the corporate one, we would generate about $163,000 a year, which is about what it cost us to operate that 160,000. So the more fuel we can sell, the more fees landing fees and those things, we can increase that. And here's one last handout, and this kind of ties with, so this is our state, and I believe, yes, I sent this to you guys after the last meeting, but these are our next projects. 2025 is already moving forward, the parking lot, but our next projects that we would need local monies for, as you can see, it has our share, which totals about 200,000 through 2029. Once we finish the parking lot and the terminal, we'll have just a little over 200,000 left in our capital improvement account. So it's fairly tight if you look at these projects for the future. But I guess our goal would be to continuing to increase our revenues year over year to get to that.
And every year, our fuel sales have gone up and our landing fees have gone way up. So it's been moving in the right direction.
So you're up 20,000 from 2023. We're 135 right now. Do you have a projection if we continue on this pace for the total for the 2024-25 year? For fuel sales.
We sold almost 50,000 gallons of Jet A in the past, and I'm not using a fiscal year, I was using a calendar year. which is about 6,000 more than we did the year before. The year before that, it was at least 3,000 more, so it keeps going up substantially. What's really made a big difference too is we raised our landing fees, and call-out fees,
Mhm.
and that's added up quite a bit,
Okay.
to where we're almost,
This
gosh,
goes till June 30th.
I think we're almost 9,000 more this year than we were last year on fees alone.
Yeah,
And
it
realize
looks
we charge more than anybody else.
It looks like if the current pace continues, you might hit, what, 215, something like that?
yeah, and keep in mind, the line item right under that is also fuel. So, looks like that one will probably hit where it's at, the 71,000, but it looks like we could be over 200,000 for, that fuel and,
Of course, a lot of that depends on Mother Nature, you know, and what kind of events are going on in town, that type of thing.
The events only increase, it seems like, right now. What makes it sales tax exempt?
That's contract fuel. When people buy contract fuel, like a NetJets, and, different big, large groups, they have a deal with AvFuel, straight with them. So we don't even know what they're paying for fuel. They come in, they give us the AvFuel card, and so they're paying taxes on that side, they're not paying it on our side.
And the two rent lines that would be affected are rents and the rents airport hangars, or the rents are only for your
Rents are,
facility?
rents are for the farm ground.
Yeah,
So-
that's the farm that we rent out,
Oh, okay, that's not for the
not the airport,
School.
not for, no.
use of the, okay, where's the school and all
Well,
that?
they're included with hangar rents.
Oh, they are, okay. So
And
what's,
then we have facility use down below, which is the
Okay.
lobby fees and such.
okay. Assuming everyone keeps renting their hangar with these increases, which I guess doesn't guarantee, what will that airport hangar rent line increase to?
It would go up
Sorry, you said that already.
13,200,
Okay.
so it would go up that amount.
Okay, so we're looking at 8 years to pay back the capital improvement. Okay. And those get 30 to 40 years of life out of them.
I would say so.
We've got 60 right now, 60 some.
But they shouldn't have gotten
But that's
60,
gotta-
right?
Well, and the reason why they got that way, they were originally supposed to be torn down. So,
I've been
it's
operating under
just
that
since
assumption.
October that
Yeah.
we've, like, yikes, now we gotta fix them up.
Okay.
Ginger does have a waiting list for hangars.
We have a waiting list, and most of the airports do. What we found is when we have a hangar come available, we're able to fill it right away. But it's not always the first few people on the list, because a lot of people are on the list in case they buy a hangar. You call them up and they're like, well, I don't have one yet, but keep me on the list.
Mhm.
So we go to the next one and next one, but there's always someone right there.
Well, that's good to know that the demand is outweighing supply. And then for the total net revenues and expenditures, for 2025, do you have a working number for that yet, Dave?
I don't on that. I used the 2024 numbers because that was the most complete year. And with the increases, we would generate around 163,000 net. So, I don't want to say call it profit, but it would be above expenses if things continue the way they are.
So expenses were at 170 last year, and you're saying they'll come in at?
Well, the expenses on the operating side of the airport were at 170.
Okay,
We've averaged around 160. So if we kind of target that, we would cover our costs, we just wouldn't have monies for the capital improvements,
but the capital improvement fund has enough for the next
few projects.
3. And that is here, so 6,700 next year, 146, that line, 51,000 in 2029.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Do you have any other plans if the city doesn't do it in-house? Is there any plan to go back to the idea of selling it or doing a rent reduction or anything like that?
None on the rent reduction because that was determined to not be, kosher.
It was tricky because, of the grant assurances that we had. It's not that you couldn't do it, it's just that someone else might say, well, then I want that for me, and I want that for me, and I wanna do it, you know, and it can get really messy.
And you didn't want to make that offer available to everyone?
No,
Okay.
not for the little teenagers, no.
Yeah, I guess you don't, you probably want some sort of uniformity there, I guess. Okay.
So with if the general fund assists with fixing these hangars, then we're covered to get through our capital improvement plan through 29. And, you know, that would get us up to about the 163,000 net a year. As far as net revenue.
Wait, so, but then what would be the contribution from the general fund? I thought you said we can only bring it down 50,000 at most,
So, that's right. So,
these separate funds are.
yes,
Yes.
so you're balancing the capital improvement fund versus the operating fund. And, we can get, 2 years into it, and then we have to rely, 2 years with reducing it to the general fund. As we talked, I was looking at reducing it 50,000 for the upcoming budget, then 50,000, then 100,000, and then hopefully to neutrality in the third year. But that's going to rely on, you know, increasing fees and getting our revenue up.
Okay, and probably this energy project.
That, the energy project would be a deal, that, if that would happen, then it would be this year.
But you're not relying on that for those projections? Okay. So you think you can do 110 this upcoming fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
But it does require the contribution from the general fund on hangar repair.
Okay. Well, that's another 50,000 with Dial Ride, chipping away at it. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing all the talking. Any
Do you mind,
questions? Matt?
I don't know, to go forward, does this committee want to recommend moving forward with the hangar repairs or?
Yeah, I mean, it's the property of the city, we gotta keep it up.
Do you have any questions on this?
No.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I'm not gonna vote for it. I'll recommend it. You guys can help vote me.
We can just send it to the council for discussion.
Alright.
Okay.
Can I ask you why?
Yes, I remain ignorant. I can't even begin to understand. It would take forever for you to sit down with me and explain it. No, when I see $120 a month that's a hangar where you put an airplane for a month. The people out here are putting their crap in storage for that kind of number. I don't get it. I'm just baffled by the whole thing. So, I'm not trying to stop anything, I'm just not, I'm not gonna vote for monies from the citizens to go to the airport, probably ever.
But you do realize that the airport does bring a lot of business through that.
I love it, I wish it would turn into the Jetsons, but I don't know why you come to me as a councilman to take taxpayer monies, but I'm not even close to it. And no hostility, I wish you all the best, I'm just not gonna ever vote for it.
Yeah, and that's fine, but I just want to reiterate to all of you, and I'll reiterate to Nancy, the airport's much like Dial Ride. With all our grant assurances, you don't get out of it, We will be doing tremendous to get revenue neutral. When you tell that to other airports, they say good luck with that. Just because once you take that on, it's basically a service to the community. And
You do bring an interesting point. The way that I would start paying attention and might be tempted to vote some monies is when I hear that the state or the feds or rich people are gonna match it, and, whatever, then I would have to like just the calculations. But just naked money with no, carrot out there,
Well, this is all,
I know, I'm not
This is
trying to
all-
overturn anything either, and I'm sure I'll be on board.
No, I'm
Just
just-
being honest, that I'm not.
the, where is it? Where's this federal contributions for these projects?
it's to the left of the local.
The entitlements?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
no,
to the
a lot of them are, but the one we're talking about right now, right?
Is our share.
Is just our share, without any matching anything, so
But no,
that's
no-
an easy no for me.
No grants to,
Well, it has matching, it just, that's our share.
Oh.
The hangars will be all ours,
Okay.
but those projects.
these
are-
capital
Yeah,
improvement projects, these
yeah.
are mostly what? These are like approximately 90-10,
Yes.
even more than that on
90-10.
some of these.
Yeah, I just wanna be clear, I'm not trying to do a crusade against the airport, I'm just not gonna vote in favor of this at least. And maybe it'll change in the future,
Can I
please.
just ask a question?
Sure.
So essentially, the project to repair the hangars, that's just deferred maintenance that wasn't being done, that should have been done over the last
20,
30 years,
That wouldn't
60
happen
years.
with anything else around here.
Right. We certainly didn't have to do it with City Hall in the
I mean,
90s.
when we took over the airport about, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
it was just, the whole place was falling apart. We'd just gotten a new runway, which is when this whole, capital improvement plan started. But everything was just falling apart. And so it's been baby steps getting it to where it is today, where we can actually be proud of it, And I know Steve's done a ton of work just in the last 2 years.
The tracks the wood that the tracks are mounted to, that holds the doors up in the air, are rotted through. You see through them, okay? So if
So
you
picture
don't
a
take
garage
care of
door
it,
that's never
if you don't
been
take care of it, you're gonna fall off.
No, and I,
So,
I'm.
but you gotta also remember, it's the local people here that has their planes out there,
No, I know.
okay?
But
So
they're-
it is.
they're the local rich people. And I wanna be clear,
We're not as rich as you think.
Yeah.
I'm not disparaging.
Yeah.
I think you're doing great work. I'm glad that you're there. I think you're competent and honest, and I'm not trying to disparage anyone. I just, maybe Josh will talk me into it over time, but I'm not even close. So I don't wanna waste anybody's time. I'm just a.
No,
Okay.
I don't like, no, I don't like this either. My goal is a goal that, according to that EDC director, no airport is self-sufficient. Of course, none of them are self-sufficient. How many millions of dollars from the taxpayers have gone into this thing?
I know, but like, the analogy is weak, but again, if it were like a household budget, you'd say, okay, we'll budget, you've got 80,000, whatever it is, here's your number, make do or what, I don't know, but, so anyway, thank you.
Yeah, and to Kim's point, really quickly, back in the 90s, they renovated this. So you guys might not know this, or maybe some of you were in here, but you couldn't go past the first floor because the third floor and this floor were basically falling in. It was condemned. And so they had to spend over $1 million because they just let it go. And they didn't maintain the building. But literally, they had the
That's the
first.
story of this town.
Yeah.
It's since
We're at the courthouse right now.
Yeah.
It's done
And
15
prior
minutes.
to the Kiefer House at the same way.
I mean, if you went through and built new hangars right now, brand new hangars, I've looked at building a row of hangars out of my own
They
pocket.
kicked the
I would have to
can
rent
down
them
the
out for
road.
over $500 a month to break
The
even.
best way to put it,
On my
it
investment.
was that way, and that was done on everything.
Yeah, they kicked the can down the road and now it's falling on us to pay for their responsibility. Life is unfair.
Yeah, no, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want the contributions from the general fund to go down.
I know, no.
So that we don't have to have special assessments. I want more money going to infrastructure first. I will say, if this number comes back and it's not going down, I'm voting no on the budget altogether, right? So that's just where I'm coming from, right? I need what I consider secondary goods, meaning things that aren't for the whole city to use directly. They need to go down.
Yeah, and again, for the last time.
No, I
No,
totally
no, no,
understand.
no, because, you know, I think I'm developing a reputation. I make trouble. I'm not trying to make trouble on this one. I'm really not. I'm just gonna vote no quietly and not, I don't wanna say anything or get in the way. I'm just gonna not vote.
Well, we can
And I'm
just,
sure that it's gonna be settled too.
we can just
So,
send it
it's
to,
fine.
We have a motion to send to council for full council.
send it to council for discussion so
Yeah,
that you
no,
don't
that's
have to
fine.
vote no.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
motion to send to council for discussion.
Second.
Okay, motion from Morrissey, seconded by Bentley, all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Good to see you
See you,
both.
Steve, see you, Ginger, thank you.
Okay. Motion
Steve.
passes.
She's working out great. Thanks. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. No problem.
Yeah, I would like to discuss before council, I understand 150 is tops, but I would like to see a guarantee that this is gonna increase annually, in the future. And I don't know if we just do a CPI, rider, or whatever.
Oh, this might be a good time to also, plug Dave for the third time. Yeah, that's right. I'll pay a lot more attention to these, like, getting on my spreadsheet at home and look at them and understand them like that. Because, you know, and it's not against anybody's presentation, it's just that, you know, your eyes glaze over and you're just like, okay.
Well, you wanna see the formula behind it?
Yes, exactly, no, that's exactly, so.
Well,
And no worry, you know.
you'll get it for the accounts payable stuff coming up. I've requested that.
Okay.
So you should have it this Thursday. I've requested in PDF and Excel.
Beautiful.
So hopefully you should have that
Thank
this
you much.
I would like to also just, I don't know if you have these answers prepared, but what is the extending of the taxiway? What is that accomplishing?
The tag, it's for safety purposes, so that's completing that taxiway to the south side of the runway, so that more, it's getting the planes away from the active runway.
Okay.
So it is that taxiway that they transport up to the ends of the runway to take off from there.
Okay. So this is the project that was gonna be done where the current hangars are?
Yes.
Let's see.
But we were able to get them to move, to let us drug it out so we can keep those things, to rent them out for revenue.
Okay. And then what, the match on the updated airport layout plan, that does seem high. 300,000 from the feds, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
And then we're paying a sixth of that?
Yes, I don't think that the state doesn't contribute to that.
What updated airport layout plan, what does that mean?
That is, you have a 10-year plan, it's like that, this is just the spreadsheet of it, of what the incorporates, but they look at all the aspects of the airport and talk about, or, delineate what the future projects are,
This is an FAA requirement?
and, yes, it is a requirement.
$370,000 for a plan.
They're airport engineers that are doing it, of
Oh
course.
my.
Does it include like the environmental impact and all that stuff?
Gotta have to look at it. Compensation.
Not good, I'll tell you that.
You bring in the federal government and everything costs more.
That is unbelievable. I wonder if we could look into any way to cut costs there. My goodness.
Maybe.
For a plan?
Experts are expensive.
So, okay. We are on streets, SADs. All of our hopes and dreams have been crushed. Yeah.
The answers are no.
Was that was from you?
Yes.
And you were, I mean,
I'm willing to keep looking into it, but it sounds like there's no model to actually do it based on benefits.
That, well, so the only models that we're finding are based on front foot,
Yeah,
which is that really the measure of the benefit?
that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right, and that's, as we shared with you, like Jackson, they do it by the front foot, but they actually for residential go up to $15,000.
Right, they have a cap on residential, commercial, and other properties, there's no cap. So they just pay up to the, whatever, their 50% or whatever it is of the project.
Okay,
You know,
so,
one thing, and I personally believe the $5,000 is a very fair and reasonable cap based on what we've seen. But, you know, on the business side of it, or industrial or commercial, bigger stuff, you know, you might establish a higher cap for that.
I would only do that if the residential came down. So for something, how far away, how far away?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess I would, if residential isn't gonna change, if we don't have the votes for that, then I would
We got
possibly,
more road money.
sure.
I mean, know where the money is, and leave the residents where they are, I don't know.
So,
5,000 is more reasonable than inflation.
Right.
But-
well, and
5,000 seems like less and
Yes,
less.
that's true. Keep in mind, like, the first one we did, because of the condition of, the northeast, what's that neighborhood?
Harbor,
Lombard subdivision.
Up in the northeast there, that was only about 3,500, because it didn't have all the extensive,
But that was like the only one. right?
yes.
Yeah,
Most of them
basically.
have
And
done.
Williamsport was lower, again, because the curbs were still in good shape, you know, they just had to resurface.
Correct.
So, to re-explore what your suggestion, I mean, originally, maybe we kind of thought like, this was gonna like fix everything, and we were gonna like soak people.
No, I don't know about that, it was gonna proportion it so that the.
Well, proportionate to,
Commercial.
yeah, to the.
Yes.
To the but even if we take a step in that direction, that, you know, they just, you know, pay some amount more, I think that would be a political winner, because the people would say, oh, okay, the revenue generators are contributing more.
So what we,
Yeah,
so, for your benefit to some degree, because Mr. Morrissey and
Oh, yeah,
Josh have
please.
been
I need
involved in
video.
some of these discussions. So all the money that we get from the special assessment, it goes into a specific fund that's only used for road repair.
for that project or for road repair.
For road repair in general,
Interesting, oh, okay.
because we have to pay for it up
Funds
front.
With the bond.
Yes, and so we have 3 different road funds. We have the major road funds, we have our local, and then we have the road, basically construction fund, it's like our capital improvement fund. So all the revenue we bring in from special assessments is specifically going in there, as well as our millage, the road millage that we passed. And that's what gets us up to about that 1.1 million a year. As we bring more revenue in through special assessments, that will go up to have more revenue and allow us to do more projects. So the idea, and, you know, as approved by council and discussed with the fair committee, who was originally involved, was that it would create momentum to getting the roads done faster. With inflation and other things, it's kind of like, you know, you're pulling at opposite ends of the road, but that's how it works. All the money that comes in from special assessments and the millage go into this fund, and it's used for nothing but roads. So we don't commingle it. And then Jason's, major and local roads, we can't commingle that money either because of their state requirements, and we have to use it for certain things, otherwise they can actually hold up our money if we don't follow the guidelines.
What are the names of the 3 funds then? The major?
Major roads, local roads, and,
Capital.
cap roads.
Alright.
204, I'm sorry, capital, yeah, 204 is the number.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes,
Capital
it is
fund.
204,
But you guys call it 204, I just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
So-
that's the fund now.
If you ever hear it's 204, 202, and 203, that's what we refer to.
Okay.
202 is major, 203 is local, so that's
Okay.
the code.
Thank you.
So the 204 is the discretionary fund, even with the special assessment dollars?
Well, it's what all these projects, the road portion of all these projects are paid out of.
Yeah, so if I have any money left in my majors, we can take that transfer over to the 204
To do.
to cover a popular project, correct?
That's-
'Cause most of mine's operating.
What are the major, so 1.1 in the 204, or is that total for all three funds?
No, that would just be the capital.
That would be the combination of the majors and the 204. So 202 and 204, we usually have about 260,000 thereabouts left over in majors a year. And our other revenue, which is street millages and special assessments, bring in about 890,000. So that gets us up to that 1.1 million.
So I guess I'm starting to lose hope that we're gonna get rid of the SADs. Or even less than that. But be that as it may, I feel like we still like get more from the money generated, the businesses.
So that's, yeah,
I mean, we could say,
Especially considering the large number of commercial properties that are tax exempt that we have.
Yes, exactly.
they actually would pay
Yeah.
on special
So
assessments.
you didn't rule that out, so that's why I don't know why you're.
The schools will still
Because
pay too,
there's-
correct?
Schools,
Yeah.
Okay.
the college,
Church.
the hospital, the churches, all entities.
there's two aspects. The one, the uncapping or changing the cap, that's totally legitimate, you can do that. The second aspect that I was wondering about is, can you draw the district larger? So like, could your district be a whole ward for a major street, like Hillsdale Street? Could it be that whole neighborhood? And then could you disperse the cost, uncap the major traffic drivers in the area, let's say, and charge them 50,000, but the residents is only 2 or
But
whatever.
how do you
it is.
prove which ones are the primary users of the road without,
And no one has attempted that.
yeah.
I mean, I would love to
I
see
mean,
the
short of
attempt.
stopping everybody at the road and asking where you're going,
Does
I don't wanna
the,
do that.
does the state have like road traffic studies on any of
That
this
just
stuff?
gives you counts, though, it doesn't tell you where they're going.
Yeah.
It says how many people are using the road.
So if we, could we try to establish a framework? I mean, this would be a totally new argument, it sounds like.
How much money do you wanna spend at the
Yeah, I
moment?
mean, a study like this, or we're talking, it's probably when you're doing SAD would be the time to get this involved. The 150,000 average that SAD brings in, we're talking only about doing a half a block of street work. I mean, in the grand scheme, the city still from the charter, the millage, and what's left over major is funding 94% of the project.
So
I mean,
what,
this is, I'm not picking on any one entity, but I guarantee you, if we tried to do something outside the box like that
yes,
and assessed a particular entity higher based on they generate more traffic without having hard data to back it up.
No, I mean, it's.
There's no way.
I
I'm
remember
gonna
we
let
might
them
get
try
them
to
twice.
go.
And I think Ken
Why-
put this
why
on, we
would
might
we
get them
do
twice, because if we're gonna ask them to pay, we're only doing these 2 streets over here, but they're in the district. Well, wait, when we get over here to get them, they're gonna pay for it again.
All
Right,
I'm,
Yeah.
everyone.
all I'm saying
Yeah.
is,
Everyone will, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but
There's-
keep in mind, they're all paying the millage now, so, that's helping pay for those road improvements. So in effect, when you pay your road millage, that portion is going into this 204 fund. So you're paying for someone else's road, and Mr. Morrissey, and you, Josh, you're all,
Right.
all the residents are paying for maybe something they don't necessarily benefit from, but it's for the good of the.
but that's what I was saying, can we do the same thing with special assessments? So rather than getting a $5,000 bill every 25 years or whatever it is, every 5 you get a $500 bill, or something like that, by increasing the size of the district, uncapping the commercial and the nonprofit
That's just
properties.
essentially doing another tax without putting it out to our vote.
can any of the three, how hardship, is this, are people selling, are people foreclosing, are they going delinquent because of the sad?
Not based on my observations and what we've seen,
Yeah, I
and Kim
haven't
could.
seen any,
Okay.
I haven't seen any foreclosures for taxes because of SADs.
Yeah, but I will say that we have seen homes that probably would have went for less value prior to having the road fix going for a
Oh, yeah.
I
pretty
wouldn't
fair
expect to see any foreclosures in this environment, but 10 years from now, with all the people with 7% loans,
Well, I
I
guess,
mean, and
it's
I
just such a
we are
friendly homeowner environment.
we are starting to see an uptick in foreclosures
Yeah,
for
that's-
banks.
Of course, that's gonna happen.
I guess I'm not quite clear on how the SAD, can the SAD, if they are having hardship, can they just like roll into, like, how do they pay the SAD?
They
Is
can
it
have
all due, like, $5,000 in one lump sum now?
10
They-
years.
If they want to avoid interest, it's due upfront at the $5,000. Otherwise, it's split into 10 installments, and then each year the installment is calculated to include interest up to the due date,
Is the interest is 6% or less?
6%.
6,700 over 10 years, I think,
Yes,
670,
something like
Okay, so
6750.
And that was the other thing that you can look at, I don't know what it's gonna do to budget, but if people are having trouble making that $500 a year payment, you can do it over 15 years instead of over 10 years. Our charter allows for up to 15 years.
Yes,
Oh,
that's right.
I thought the
But that's-
statute
it's-
required 10.
No, we've always done it 10, but that was based on the model that they set up for sidewalk assessments.
Oh, okay.
If someone came to you and said, I wanna pay it over 5 years, can you work out any system? or
I mean,
is
they
it-
can pay any amount they want at any point.
Okay, but we're not giving them the option of 15 years right now?
No, because that's set in the resolution when you determine the district. The number of years is set in that resolution.
Okay, so then we could do 3 minor things, I guess. We could do 15 years as an option. We can do the uncapping. What did Jackson do for commercial?
They don't have a cap on commercial.
Well, I don't know if I wanna do no cap.
Well, we could double it as a suggestion.
I was thinking 15 maybe,
10 or 15, yeah.
but we're not allowed to take into account whether this is an industrial facility or checker records or something. If we make it like
So there's-
commercial residential, we can't have separate subcategories within commercial.
If you could, I don't know how we would set that up.
It's doable.
Yeah,
We'd have to, explain the benefit and the reason that, and just sell it that way.
Can we do it? We can't do it based on taxable value,
not directly.
not directly, okay.
So we already have the cap in our charter that says that we can't, the total amount that any one property is paying can't be more than 25% of the total value.
Okay. So let's say for Arch Avenue, we make it 10 or 15. That then goes into this general pot. Can we then decrease residential to 4,000, to 3,000?
You could reduce them how you see fit by setting those categories, and
Okay.
that's what Jackson did.
Okay. Okay, so let's do 15 year, if the committee's interested in exploring this, do 15 years, new categories, and I would also like the interest rate to be, I guess, I don't wanna say variable, but either a maximum of 6% or something like what the city can borrow at in that year, whatever the bond payment is.
So
I think
if,
that's what
yeah.
Jackson did.
yeah, if they take out bonds, I think it's 1% above the bond rate.
By law.
I don't know
Or
if that's
that's
by
what
law, if
Jackson
that's
said.
just what their ordinance says, but.
Jackson.
Okay, what's our bond rate at for Arch? Or what, we don't have one yet, we have one for Westwood.
I don't know.
Yeah, we won't have any bonds for the other projects, just Westwood, and I don't know what that is.
Oh, these projects won't be bonded?
We
Just
pay
the
for
other
them,
cash on
we
hand.
pay for them in cash, that's why we build it up.
That's a 10-year bond, correct?
Okay, so let's say if the bond is, would 3 to 4% be realistic, or even lower maybe with the city's credit?
I can find that pretty easy, that's at the
Should
shop.
you have that Jackson one with you?
Because I was just looking to see if I could find that one.
I just don't know what the bond rate is on top of my head.
So if we did,
You're gonna have to get over to the VP here.
oh, sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, I'd just like to see what the total cost is with the, 1% or 0.5% above the bond rate. That might bring the total cost down, $700-800 over 10 years.
Good.
Okay, well, let's start there if everyone's okay with that, and maybe could you just analyze like one project? What are we doing? I also wanted to talk about what we're doing next year, but something like Berry or Arch. Okay, if we increase the commercial to 10 or 15,000, how does that affect the total fund? How much money do we have? How much wiggle room does it give us with the residential?
So these are the bond rates that Jackson found with theirs.
And that, when were those bond rates?
What does that have a date on it? That was 2024.
We're AAA, and what length bond are we doing, 10 years to match the
Oh, I don't know
assessment?
for, I don't know that for AAA.
Josh, no,
Oh, really?
No,
No, we're nowhere
just
close.
because we're too small.
Okay,
So poor.
AA, A, is there more?
We have it, I just don't know.
It's not about the size of it, it's like, my hometown was 7,000 and they had a triple A, but it was an affluent town. And so,
Okay, well, regardless, we're between 2.65 and 3. Not a huge difference in the interest rate. So we could probably get the interest rate down to 4 if we follow Jackson's model. Okay. We can do 4%.
Some, benefit.
Yeah. Trying to find something around the margins here. Yeah, and I guess the categories that immediately come to mind would be, commercial production or manufacturing, and then commercial retail and I guess services, nonprofit services or something like that. Do you have any idea what the logical categories would be there?
I can look into it, because
Okay.
I think it would make more sense to do like single tenant commercial,
I see.
and then like multiple tenant commercial, so you have like, of course, most of those are on 99, so that doesn't really make sense either. Never mind.
Because they're not gonna get it. The industrial park.
Yeah.
and
I would say commercial, industrial, and then residential.
Okay.
And then we could just go by the property class that we use for assessing to determine which is in.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, one of the issues is trucks that are like moving products and chewing up our roads. But another is just how many cars you have there during the workday. And then we wouldn't be hitting the churches as hard, but we would be hitting the other places because they have big parking lots that anybody can count.
That's what I was thinking, just something like parking spaces,
Yeah.
you just put up, I see those traffic monitors that have, you just do a rolling average over a week.
Talking about like the industrial, like, you go in the industrial park, you'll have a business that has hundreds and hundreds of feet of curb, and they're, with our current system, they're still paying $5,000.
Yeah, no.
And that probably isn't necessarily the most fair or appropriate. So,
Yeah.
there might be, like I said, some movement there. And some of those big lots, $15,000 wouldn't be too much either.
That's right.
So if you have hundreds of feet, you're talking about the equivalent of 10, 15, 20 residential homes. I don't wanna end up with $100,000, of course, but.
No.
No, but something closer to what they're benefiting, yeah.
All right, I gotta run.
Thanks,
Dave.
Okay, any other thoughts on streets or SADs?
No,
Those are a good place. I would like to look into the in proportion to benefit, but I know this isn't probably the best city to run a test case on a novel legal theory.
That's, I'm just
No, I
putting it
know.
up front, like
Yeah.
it will be challenged.
Yes, right. Well, let's do that.
depending on how much you're trying to soak.
Right.
And that's the thing.
Right.
But
If it's
sweet spot,
reasonable.
when they say, yeah, I don't care, $20,000, right, fucking, yeah.
Right.
Write that check.
Okay, well, I guess it's pretty.
If I may add to one thing on that too, Josh, you know, I started here, we were literally doing a block of street here. We weren't getting any groundwork. I mean, over the last several years with everybody, council's help included, you know, we made strides. So if we can continue this SAD in other way, I mean, I think it's definitely worth looking at with what we're talking about. If we can keep that moving forward in some kind of fashion.
Yeah,
We made huge improvements over the last several years.
yeah, no, it's great. I just wanna find a way to make it more equitable for the
Absolutely,
citizens if possible.
absolutely.
Okay,
I mean, I did try and think about, and the only thing that I could come up with was you have like, you know, you base the number of, the benefit and the benefit units based on the number of parking spots that are
mhm,
required for that type of business or whatever. And then a residence, it would be based on the number of bedrooms in the house, like.
it seems objective to me, but if you think it's
But it's,
too,
I mean, we did this pulling teeth to get information on a lot of houses, so I don't even know how many bedrooms a lot of houses have. Cause these are 100-year-old houses, and if, you know, they've never shared with the assessor that they're a 2-bedroom house. It's been owned by the same person for the last 100 years and for 50 years, and never been listed for sale, that information isn't publicly available anywhere.
Well, the more pertinent information is kind of like, how many cars are in your driveway?
Right. I mean, yeah, and let's just do the standard, you know, based on the square footage of the house, it's probably a 3-bedroom, you know what I mean?
could you do just flat for residential, or maybe have
We
a
could.
residential,
Or-
single family,
Yeah.
multi-tenant, and then business?
Yeah.
That's a good model. See if we can do it that way.
Yeah,
Turn it down. Say it one more
I
time.
do. Yeah, maybe just a breakdown of residential, single family, multi-tenant, apartment complex, and then businesses. I think for homes, you basically have to do a flat rate because of that issue,
Right.
but,
Listen,
and I would like, I do think even for really large businesses, I do think I would like a cap. You know, I don't wanna see the college or
Yeah.
man, you get charged $100,000
no,
for a year.
right.
But,
Agreed.
Well, especially with exempt properties, like I do an estimated value on those,
Yeah.
but we don't spend a lot of time determining what the value of the college is.
yeah, no, why would you? And it's not
Right.
even really relevant for this, the question is just traffic.
Right.
Okay, well, if you can find a cap, you know, a cap in the $20,000 range in any of these categories, I know that's a lot of legwork for research, but I appreciate it,
Okay,
thank you. Okay, forestry, I just wanted an update from Jason.
Perfect. So as you know, our current forester left us December 6th. He was shared between DQ and DPS. He's making roughly about 27, well, he was making 27.56 an hour. We're paying him about $56,000 a year without fringe benefits. In talking with Dave, our forester that retired, has volunteered to come back and work up to 4 days a month. And with the cost of, we're paying about $35 an hour, he's a licensed forester. Now, remember, a forester that we had was not a licensed forester, so there was things in his job role that he cannot do. He had enough hours of service to get his forester license. He was still working under the guidance of our previous forester that just came back.
Okay.
So they're still asking, like, they do tree evaluations, only state licensed forester can do that.
Sorry, what?
Tree evaluations, a licensed forester has to do that. Our new forester didn't have that, many hours of service to do that, so we still had to pay, we're essentially paying a full-time forester, and still paying a part-time one when needed to come in. Gary, which was our primary forester that retired in February of 2 years ago, he's got his license, still his forestry license, and volunteered to come back 4 days a month, so we meet those things in the charter. I will say Gary came in yesterday, for the month that Caleb left, Gary did get everything caught up, his tree inspection, tree evaluations, house calls, and everything done in 1 day.
Excellent.
So with that being said, I mean, we're proposing with, I'm just gonna give you a number here.
Yep.
This is a true number, I mean, with fringe benefits, we're paying $93,000 for the forester on staff.
$40,000 of benefits? Oh, with the
With the fringe.
full-time coming in.
Correct, with fringe benefits,
see.
because fringe benefits is their life insurance, you know, medical insurance, all that stuff on top of it, which is 60% of the wage.
Okay, so 35.
60.25. Yep, so, yeah, it's quite, so it's about 36,000 in fringe benefits.
Healthcare, retirement, disability, unemployment.
Yep, anything that they have above and beyond.
Um,
So we're at 13,440 with having the area.
Is that true for the whole city staff?
Yeah,
Essentially, I mean,
in a sense, yeah, they're fringe benefits, everyone has fringe benefits. At the medical, of course, the unions are probably more, but yeah, yep.
You said 13,440? Down from what?
So let's go, because free area has no benefits, the new one, so let's just go by no benefits. 56,000 is what we're paying in true wages for a forester. For a part-time forester of 384 hours per year, you're at 13,440. So we're saving for about 30,
Why aren't you including the benefits in that?
because he's not eligible for benefits, because he's not a full-time.
But that's savings too, right?
Absolutely.
So what's the total savings?
Oh,
with
good
benefits?
point,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
good point, yep. So you're at $80,000 savings.
Okay, wow, and that is true savings, that is
100%.
not labor savings, that is true dollars in your budget savings.
Absolutely.
It's amazing, we do all this to save 50,000 on the airport and Dial-A-Ride, and then you just find, can you send Gary a fruit basket for me?
Absolutely, all he has to return is a computer and a phone. That's
Okay,
all he asked for. It's absolutely.
and that's, what percentage of that do you think will be reflected in your budget?
So, this year we did something different. You're only gonna see 50% mine, because he was shared between BPU and DPS. So there was the caveat. We tried it
Okay.
1 year.
So general fund for you, approximately 40,000 in savings.
So no, so we split between the general fund, 202, which is major, 203 local. So it's gonna be about 20% savings in the general fund.
But it's money for the roads,
Absolutely.
that's what matters.
Yep, so 20% general fund, the rest is between the 202 and 203 we talked.
So 40,000 for the roads between general, major, and
Yes,
local. That's what I wanna hear, wonderful, great job, thank
Yep,
you
and
so
he is
much.
signed on for at least a year.
Okay, it's not gonna be
So-
something that you're gonna be able to continue necessarily.
No, so the big thing on, so Gary is,
sorry, which one's which?
I'm so sorry, Gary is the old person that retired that just came back.
Okay, and he's the one that's licensed?
Yes.
And can do the specialty stuff?
Yep,
And
absolutely.
the other guy's full-time?
No, he actually resigned a month ago.
Oh,
with
so,
Consumers.
oh,
Yeah, so I'm just paying the part-time guy now.
oh,
Yep, he resigned to go to Consumers, which they paid a lot more money, and it was more of an office atmosphere. Here, the forester is supposed to be out trimming trees, all that. We took that in-house. We're doing it anyway, we might as well do 100%.
oh, you guys just took it over?
Yeah,
Oh.
I took over most of the forester duties, for administrative, but the specialty stuff that the forester's supposed to do, yeah, that's where I think we only need up to, and the way that the agreement was, is up to 4 days per month. So this could go even down.
How old, I mean, yeah,
He's retired, way over retirement age.
70?
Nah, probably a couple years younger than that, but yeah, over 65. that's
So he's
what
not
I'm
gonna wanna do this forever?
saying. Probably not forever, but
But we can keep making it worth his while, I mean.
he's a fortunate soul that, he's put a lot of years in here, the kid knows him very well.
He was concerned he was gonna be bored when he left.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's kind of crazy to have a full-time guy that's fully licensed when the important specialty stuff is only used.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, I mean, he literally, I mean, obviously, the winter time's a little different, but he got everything cut up in a month and, 4 days in less than 8 hours. And then including the 8 hours when he's here, doing all this stuff, and we can get more what he did in that day, but he also renewed his license, and he renewed his pesticide license on the phone with the state all day. And he did all this in 8 hours.
So 2 to 3 days a month could be,
Absolutely.
okay.
So he didn't plan on coming in for another 2 weeks until I needed him.
make sure, I mean, if he gets it down to 2 or 3 days, make sure he's compensated.
Absolutely, so, you know, that's why he asked for 35. When he started here, he's only making 17. When he left, he was only making 22. So that's why we put him at 35, we're paying for his expertise, we're paying for his licensing, and so
And we're not paying for that.
that's this. Yeah.
That's a huge win for the citizens, thank you.
Yeah, and maybe the day that he, you know, don't want to.
Go contract.
Absolutely, so the day you don't want to do, I would ask maybe we look at the charter, and, you know, there's some things in there that is specified as a licensed forester, we need to look at that, maybe we can get that changed to licensed arborist, or something on that.
It's not a state statute, it's a charter.
It's a charter statute, correct.
Write that down. Licensed arborist charter.
Yeah,
I've got my running charter amendment list, and it's, the
Longer,
whole thing.
longer than the charter.
so,
Okay,
and,
great.
yeah, that's one thing, I pulled everything, I went through all the ordinances today, and that was one thing that needs a licensed forester for, we can change that, if we can get that changed to some verbiage. And, I mean, David has, the city manager has, he can designate anyone for that forester position, which, you know, as of right now, I have.
Okay, so that would be after he's done.
Mhm.
Hopefully he can stick it out.
Well, this is all fine until the Chinese beetle, whatever, comes and kills all the trees and the dog.
Yes, you know, a lot of truth to that, actually, yeah.
2025.
All right, so yes, that is going very well. Yeah,
The gypsy mods.
this will, the good thing is he was already budgeted this year, Caleb, which was the new forester, he was budgeted, so this is gonna be true savings, you see, at the end of the year, they'll go back into the kitty, 202, 203.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Okay, fees, the only thing I was gonna say, Rob wants to go back.
Right away, fees, can you catch me?
They have been stuck for decades, we don't really know how long.
What are they, what are we talking?
It's 75, it's been so long, $75 for the permit,
Mm-hmm.
plus.
For what, no, I don't even know what we're talking.
Oh, sorry, putting up the barricades and closing roads for parades.
So there's two,
Oh.
Josh, may I?
Yeah, oh, please, yes.
So there's a right of way fee, anytime we work on, over, above, or through the right of way, which is generally the green space from the curb to the sidewalk, in the roadway, and the same thing on the reverse side of the street. You need a right of way permit, so it could be construction side, which would be, you know, sanitaries, water lines, and there's a second part, which would be the street closures for the parades. And I think that's what Rob's talking about, is the street closure side. We're fine with the construction side, but the fee schedule was very out of date, if you will. I was using it as, and I apologize, I've been here for 20 years, it never got an increase. So when I took over, or Jake, I should say, the right-of-way fees were $5. So we would put out hundreds of barricades, it'd take 2 days to put barricades out for these for $5. And then we addressed it, and we got it up to $75, and then we addressed the beginning, got it up to $75 application fee, plus a rental cost of the barricades, and then hourly rate and cost, so that way we were just net zero. And that's kind of where, I guess, Josh, I go back to you if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, no, that's
So,
great.
but that's most of the construction. Rob is worried about the parades. or-
Parades and the farmer's market.
Cause they're exorbitant, cause they're at the same.
Some of them were coming in nearly $2,000.
Okay.
They're getting a 50% reduction.
There's several of them that council made, you know, I can't remember all, I apologize, but the farmer's market was one. You know, they're all, so say the true cost is 2,000, they only have to pay 1,000. Because it's city, they're city named additionally, city named sponsored events, that's what it's called, sponsored events.
Yeah, so there's the parade fees, and then there's this other fee for peddling, selling stuff
Yes,
on city property,
yeah, that's not part of it,
and
Yeah,
the,
it's a separate permit.
that's not.
yes,
part of it.
separate permit, two different types of fees. The farmer's market people wanna go back into the street this next year, they've said. So, people were divided about that. I sort of like the courthouse, but they wanna go back in the streets, so we were gonna consider removing some sort of fee that was preventing them from doing it.
So there was two things. At first, remember, first year they paid for the permit, for the right-of-way permit.
Right.
And the second year, they said they couldn't get enough sponsors to do it. But then when they did get some sponsors, then when they were given the $25 peddler license, they said, no, we're not doing it. Which was the
And that's
farmers,
per vendor.
that's for vendor, the farmers market will
That's
pay
the
for that.
problem, yeah.
It was their vendors that said, no, we're not doing it. And, you know,
But that license is good for the year.
yeah, it's good for you, it's $25 for the whole year.
Is the,
Oh, they bought that?
Absolutely, sir.
it was $75 per farmer's market week.
No, it's for the
One
whole year,
time.
absolutely. The only
But
thing
then
that was
they were
each,
doing their own barricades, so what was the
the
cost?
first year they got the hospital to sponsor the barricades.
Oh, okay,
So they only paid the $75 for the whole year. The second year, they couldn't get the sponsorship, which was this last year. That's when it was gonna be, they had to run it from us at cost. But remember, we came back to council, and we named as additionally sponsored, so it was only half cost for the rental of the barricades.
and what would that be per week, do you remember?
I wanna say it's $285 a week times, put, divide that by 2, so we're talking $140 a week. And that was over.
For each side of the street?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the one thing I would like to say is I'm all for events and stuff, but the streets should always be the second choice to put them in the streets.
That was my
Oh,
thought, I was
you guys
actually,
don't get in the street.
I was
I
surprised
did not.
that people wanted them in the
So-
street, I like the courthouse, but
The vendor, like,
the vendors
The
prefer
vendors,
it,
yeah.
that's
So,
what they've said,
The
yeah.
safety aspect of a lawn is why you don't want a street. I mean, closing the street through the MDOT and through the city should be the last resort, because you're putting pedestrians in the street. I mean, look what happened in New Orleans, you know, that was a huge thing, it happened in Minnesota, people
Well,
wanted to
well,
get barricades.
barricades up, well,
They don't block anything.
It's, I mean, you could drive through them if you wanted to, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's the same barricades that they have out when they're doing road construction, that
Okay.
people drive around all the time.
But there's a cost to them, I mean, let's go use the Veterans Day Parade, they use every piece of equipment that DPS has, and that DPS has no other pieces of equipment to use, and it's over $25,000 of equipment. And, you know, that stuff has an age of only 8 to 10 years before it has to be replaced. So that's why we put those costs in there to try to recoup that
What's
cost.
the place?
The barricades. Yeah, so under state statute, when they get scratched up, not reflective no more, you know, that has to be all replaced.
Oh,
It's always the state thing, right? But it's true, 100%.
okay.
It's a net zero, we're not gaining anything, we're just recouping the cost of the barricade.
Why didn't they want to move to the street?
That's what they said they preferred, I should
Well,
reach
if you
out
guys
and talk
all
to
think
them.
it's an easy no, we'll just tell them no, I don't know. As long as we have a farmer's, I mean, it's nice. We're
Yeah,
trying
it's one of
And
the,
we're talking about piddly numbers, as far as, I don't know why they bought the $25 for a year, like, I don't know, or whatever.
well, because some of these people only set up shop and make a few $100.
But, okay, it's all fine, yeah, I'm not.
But it was a whole, it was a pure permit, correct?
And, I mean, the other thing to keep in mind, there's other places available. I mean, there's
Where do you want to park?
fairgrounds, there's
Yeah.
the library parking lot, there's.
Yeah.
I don't know that I it doesn't bother me at all having it in a parking lot, but
Well,
that's what they
isn't
want.
the courthouse parking lot, I don't know, that's just where I think it would be, when I go down there, that's where it's been, and it seems nice. I just,
Let's bring them in. My suggestion was gonna be that council take the first step of sponsoring like 2 months of these, so it was $250 a month, or $250 a week.
in the street.
250, yes.
$250 a
You
week.
gotta pay for the barricade rentals at half rate, and then the labor to put them out.
There's also been some talk about the community foundation, and there was another group that was mentioned.
There's a few good men, a couple other things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might,
You know-
might sponsor some of this.
Okay.
And I think Councilman Flynn was mentioning the community foundation, and someone else was mentioning one of the other ones. So I think that would be a great way to go,
Mhm.
because that would cost us absolutely nothing.
Absolutely, FMA, these same thing that these come out, all these parades is out of our general fund as well.
Yeah.
So we're at Dollar in the airport, trying to save some money to
Yeah.
scrap, but, this is $15,000-$20,000 a year in special events too,
Yeah.
going on.
And,
I don't really wanna go back. My suggestion was we take council, we all take our pittance for meetings, and we each sponsor a week or something. So we get the first 2 months covered, and then we do a sort of like, hey, could X or Y business sponsor a week?
It's not a bad idea.
It's just, you know,
Mhm.
I don't know if we spread that around all of the events or do it for the farmer's market.
Maybe try that
Let's
one
find out
first
about
year.
this other one.
Yes.
Really,
Yes.
I know Bob Quinn was talking about it, and he has.
When I think Sam was talking about
Sam,
Coldwater
Yes.
does a
That's-
similar thing through the community foundation
Right.
over there, like there's people that contribute into a fund specifically for.
Right,
That'd probably be better than working through the city.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I'm
I think the
Yeah.
EDC, or EDC, I'm so sorry, I think you could have the community foundation do it, I really do.
Okay, so that's probably something for me to do, so I should reach out to, unless you wanna do it.
Yeah, I have actually, with getting that grant for that Crown Prince Raider, I actually found out,
Okay,
Because he's connected to them.
okay.
you want me to do it, or?
Yeah, give me a call, I'll email Bob
How often do I have this meeting?
once a month, I think,
It's needed.
as needed. I've been insisting on regular meetings, cause I wanna keep rehashing things that we've
We've had
discussed.
enough meetings.
Right.
There's never enough meetings.
We've never find him, it's a special meeting.
Okay, so we wanna talk next time, follow up about the fees, forestry's done, airport, I guess is done, but I still wanna see that long-term plan, so we'll leave that there. Dial-A-Ride is done, leaf collection, unfortunately, is done. Okay, so, we'll talk about airports and streets next time.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it.
As always, not a day passes without airports or streets. No miscellaneous reports, public comment. Hi. What's going on?
Hello, I have a question just about, because I was part of the Berry Street signing, and I know at the council, they said there was no point in talking about Berry because all the citizens that signed. So I was surprised when I heard Berry come up again in conversation at the city council. So is that, and personally, I would love for the street to be done, but most of the people that signed it don't wanna pay. So how does that work moving forward?
As far as I know, it works that they don't get a street.
Okay,
That's what
so
it
it
is.
should be off the table, then,
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah, Jason.
I got an answer for this.
Okay,
So this will come up to council again, because the special assessment district was never actually made yet. So at that time, when council makes it, that's when the, yes or
Petition.
no's, if you will, would come from Berry Street, because it actually been made yet. So those would
but you have the
Well,
petition.
We have to
The
schedule,
petition would have to come back up again.
we have to schedule a public hearing, and the objections need to be presented at that public hearing.
Correct.
Okay,
So could we have this new plan ready for this one, you think? My hope would be that we could implement a part of this plan, and decrease the residential cost to such an extent that it would be,
right, and I don't think that the residents don't want it, obviously. I mean, it's not a win-win. You know, I mean, I know when I was there and I talked to the person that started the petition, I said, okay, well, Berry's off the table, but it doesn't mean we win. They're just not gonna do the road. And so that doesn't make it,
And to clarify that too, it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't happen, it means that they have to have a vote of at least 7 council members approving it before it can happen.
okay,
my hope would be that we can get the cost down well below 5,000. And I'm willing to spend from the capital outlay or the general fund increase to make that happen, though I
Well-
don't think other council members are.
On the other hand, if we didn't do that too much, no one is going to do an SAD. That would in fact kill the SADs altogether. Because who in his right mind would vote for an SAD if you know they're not really relevant anyway?
To Josh's point, I think that's why we have to get the policy
That's okay.
in place before this
Okay,
comes
but
before
I'm just
council.
saying, you know,
Yeah.
We have to do it soon,
Yeah.
yeah, very soon. So that's why we're still doing Berry Street, because we're, had the direction from council, where Kristen came, just do the engineering drawing, that's why it keeps coming up.
well, and I'm not against it, but my question that I brought up to a couple of council members was that, a lot of the traffic on that street, like, my building is a duplex, they're 2-bedroom. But I share a driveway with 2 businesses. and it's my driveway, but they use my driveway, so they're not, at least the, psychiatrist isn't showing up on the special
Yes,
assessment.
they are.
Oh, they are now?
Yes.
Okay, but does
Yes,
that lower
the
my
district-
cost?
The district had not been created yet.
Okay,
So when we looked at this last week, Kristen and I sat down and looked at the map.
Right.
To determine where the district boundaries should be.
right, okay,
And we even discussed,
Mhm.
to your point about making the district larger, you know, including
So
the
how,
alleys, but we couldn't see how that would work, because then when you go down the line and do the other streets that they front on, then they
so how
did
did
it
they kill
twice.
it? With their petition?
They didn't.
It didn't, it's not dead yet. It
I'm just-
hasn't been voted on yet.
The protest requires it doesn't even require a supermajority, it
Right.
requires 7 votes.
Right.
7 out of the 9.
No,
And the
but we
petitions,
acted when we got the petition, like, okay, this is it, like it was legit, but it wasn't legit.
no, the petitions have to go out again after the special assessment district is made,
Right.
which won't be to the
But
next.
The
did they,
petition was premature.
was the petition not through us?
No.
no, it was,
Oh, they
it was
just
the
It was a
residents'
self-organized
resident
themselves
generation.
in the
initiative,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, but when you make the thing, then do they get the petition from us and do the petition?
No, they,
They still do it
each
on their own?
individual property owner has to submit in writing if they're protesting at the public hearing.
Okay, so that was nothing. Alright, I didn't know, I thought that was,
well, what they did was show the residents, other residents for other streets, that if people make enough noise, that something's gonna be heard. I believe that's, and I personally don't think that, I just, what surprised me when Barry was on the docket, and I did talk to the city, engineer about why Barry was on this list, because I know of many more streets that are way worse. And she made it valid. There's an issue there that's gotta be addressed, and
Right,
so
there's-
it makes sense. I get that. And
There's
from a,
BPU infrastructure that needs
right,
work there.
and so it makes
So we're
sense.
gonna have to tear up the street for that.
Right, and so since you're gonna have to tear up the street anyway, you're already there, I get it from a financial perspective. It's just, and I think that if at council, some of the stuff is clarified, I think a lack of, the tenants or the owners understanding that, and the fact that you're willing to consider, like some of these businesses may be paying more because there's more traffic on it because of where the road is at. I mean, I've thought of 100 times about 22 Marion and thinking that the citizens that own properties on that would probably be willing to either tear out the road and make it gravel, if that was what their vote was, and or pay to have the road done, because they're pretty much the only ones that drive the road.
Fair enough.
Okay, so to me, I mean, I have a property I manage, and I would encourage the owner to pay the $5,000 because it makes sense on that road. So I think if you guys present it in a way that it makes sense, you're gonna get more, they're gonna like not having to pay up to $5,000, but I think you're gonna get more support for, because everybody wants the roads fixed.
mhm.
Okay, so I think if you present it in a way that it makes more sense. I, as a property owner on Barry, I don't wanna have to redo the roads in 10 years because it's got so much traffic. You know, unless I'm compensated in some other way by paying less money. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's what we're trying to work
So,
out, thank you.
I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank
So,
you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Penny, anything to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. That's it, motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.